Hey, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode. I'm Evan, or Etma, here with Justin, Gear Duo.
What's
We're going
going
to
on,
talk
everybody?
we're going to talk a little bit about Wednesday's game, the Aether Chronicles that we ran for the XLG community, and maybe dive into or have Gear Duo pick my brain a little bit about the Yinsu game that we're starting Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Um, but
What's up,
before we jump
Swatkins?
in,
By the way, Swatkins.
hey, mom.
Oh, hey! Hey, mom! Love
Uh,
you.
before we jump in, just want to thank everyone who puts time and effort into make Mortals Woes what it is. Um, awesome place to create, learn, and play D&D with friends. Also like to thank the artist on artlist.io for providing us with chill music to vibe to while we chat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also XLG for the wonderful community we've been invited to,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's another place for us to share what we love. So that being
Yeah.
said,
I have a question first thing.
uh-huh.
And this is for Mama Etma, right? It's for Mama Etma, Swatkins. This is for you. Um, for first things first. Thank you. That's who I'd like to thank. You did such a wonderful job. These are I mean, so nice. And then two, who's your favorite character on our overlay here? Do you have one that you think looks the coolest? This one. This one. I don't even know where I'm pointing. This one. This one.
I like the
This one.
guy with the elemental hair below me.
Oh, the wizard. The old wizard guy. He's cool. I Oh, thank you. The top right by Ev there. Oh yes, the
Like
woman
a
with her arms out.
it's like a priest, maybe.
I mean, could be. I mean, she could be a priestess or something. Professor of truths. I really like
Yeah.
on the complete opposite corner, the lady with the violin. I think that one just, or the guy right above her, that guy with like, he's like a reverse dab kind of thing that he's doing. And it's so dynamic and fun. Uh,
Yeah.
oh my god. Oh really? So how can you would play champs?
I
That's how
think
all this got started.
she followed us around and pressed buttons.
Oh man. And I'm so glad that you love supporting them, and we love the support. Uh, it means so much to us. You know, it really does. You thought we'd grow out of it, you know. It didn't happen.
Never.
Never. Yeah. I mean, it's because what's crazy. Okay, so what's crazy about getting to play, especially as adults, as we mature, the our ideas and our use of this game time and of play kind of matures. And it could be just blowing off steam and just being like, you have a very serious kind of, you're raising a family, and you've got your mortgage, and you have like you're a position at your job with so many responsibilities, and you just get to like not have those just for a moment. Or maybe you have, you know, you have a side of yourself that doesn't get the time and the leg room, and so you get to be just a little, you get to stretch that and practice that in a safe space. um I mean, there's so many great stories of people that we've played with, that we've got to create that space for them, and they've come into their own, and that the things that were so tiny about them when they first started, that they got to stretch and grow and became the greatest things they loved about themselves, and became one of the things that they use to propel themselves through their life. And they gain confidence in that particular part of their personality. And that's what I love about this space. It's so great to see all those different like uses of it, you know
Mm-hmm.
There's magic, that's kind of cool too, and elves. You know, that's always fun.
One Ring.
The One Ring. Mm,
Not like what started it all, right?
yeah. Well, at least we didn't do that at our weddings, right? We didn't like what? We kept that a little serious.
It's true.
Mhm.
Only one of us would have gave in.
Maybe next time. Me and my wife, just on a like a life note, we loved getting married so much that we plan on doing it again. We plan on we loved professing our vows to each other so much that it in such a formal way, and in that we plan on doing that again a couple more times throughout our life. So I didn't, you know. Maybe we'll do the One Ring at some point. Show his D&D build area. Yeah, that's something that Spio hasn't. Kind of, we've been toying with that. We've been trying to encourage him to maybe to gift to some of our to the world, like some of his builds and how he goes about building them. You know, there's a lot of people out there who love to see how to create real on the table game pieces, and when they start from scratch, they love seeing people also starting from scratch, to see how, because the product looks so well done that, you know, it's sometimes you see the finished product and you think, I could never do that. That's so difficult. There's so many skills involved. And then as you see somebody starting from the beginning, and you know, you're like, oh wow, I can do this, and then I already know what the result's going to be. It looks great. And I think that's something that I think Spio would, you know, it's impressive. I was impressed, yeah. And I think that it's something that we should, maybe one day, if we get enough people asking, Spio, we might have to set you up in your D&D space with some equipment and recording equipment.
So Wednesday, Aether Chronicle.
The Aether Chronicle. Boy, what a great time. Honestly, I had a blast, man.
Yeah, I did
Friggin'
too.
blast. I could tell, like I went back and I rewatched it, and I was like, I was like watching other people's reactions, because I get in this like weird space of, I'm blind when I play the game because my imagination is so active that I'm there in the scenes we're describing, and I'm not at my computer. So I can't even see your faces sometimes, like on camera. Like I don't even see your face on camera and stuff. And so I was watching your reactions. I think um one of the things that I think that really your reaction really dug into the was that moment with Sprig. Maybe we're too far forward. Hey guys, the Aether Chronicle, great game that we played on XLG. It just aired, just hit YouTube, and you know, a couple days ago, check it
At
out.
Mortal Woes.
Yep, at Mortal Woes. All of our stuff's down in the thing. But it was it's, you know, it's a game that we're running. It's a weekly game over at XLG, who we're partnered with in their tabletop area, and it's been a blast. And it's set up to have people come in and come out. So like if you want to play a game, you know, if you watch it and you're like, man, this seems like fun, I'd like to be a player in that, you're more than welcome to. I mean, that's, you know, reach out to us through here, wherever, and we'll get you on the roster and like the rotation to come in and play games. But it was our first session, and I was a little nervous, you know, just because I was the storyteller in this one and setting up the space for everybody to play in. But I was excited for sure, and I felt comfortable knowing that I had you, and I had Spio, and I had Life, and we had Gino, Saga, um, and I was really comfortable with you guys. So I knew that I could do no wrong because you guys would, you would have fun playing with whatever we give you. But
Just we'd wing it.
well, that's the whole game, right? It's just
Yeah.
winging it.
It was you did a great job though.
Thank you very much. I felt good about the job that I did. It felt great. You did. Well, thank you, Mama Watkins. That is so great that you watched. Did you enjoy yourself? So this is let me ask you this. By the way, I'm talking to one of in our chat here. Talk to the chat. So, Mama, did you is Dungeons and Dragons or role playing? Is this something you've ever watched before? And did you enjoy yourself watching this one? Is I guess my first question here for you. We're on a delay, so we vamp for a little bit as they type. And Evan, did you enjoy yourself?
I did.
Mhm.
There was not quite in terms of himbo, it wasn't quite exactly what I was envisioning.
Okay.
Just like in my head, I thought I was
Mhm.
going to be like a blacksmith in a temple,
Mhm.
like blacksmithing
Ooh.
for the actual you know basically like the cleric that's the blacksmith for the paladins of Hufma, or something like that.
Mhm.
The route you went though, I thought it was great. I thought the Chad vibes you went with Hufma was perfect. It was,
And honestly, so what's crazy? So none of those scenes were pre-planned, right? I
Mhm.
did not have I didn't have any scripting written out or none of that. You could see in the very beginning whenever we play, I like close my eyes. I'm like, all right, okay. And then I'm not ready, so I'm like, oh hey, by the way, do we want to introduce her? And I'm like, okay, hold on a second. I'm like, oh wait, roll a d8. Like I was trying to figure out our setup. And I just like, as we came to the first person, I was like, okay, let's go. And each time we came to a new person, I just kind of vibed with, they were pre-generated characters, right? So we have a bunch of pre-generated characters for this game. So again, if you come and play, we're not gonna, you're not gonna have to do a big character build. You don't even have to know how to play the game, any of that. You just pick a character, and then all you need is Discord and a web browser, and that web browser takes you straight to the tabletop. So it's super easy. All the numbers are taken care of and everything. If you are one of those people who do like to create characters, given enough time, to contact us, we can build your character together, and that's perfectly fine as well. But for those who just trying to get into it, it's ready to go. Here's your character. And so based off of that, I was just like, let's roll with it. Let's see what happens. So in that, what were some of your favorite scenes with your character, or some of your favorite, like, what were some of the things that you were vibing on here? What'd you like about this?
my character, uh, I enjoyed. I felt like what was her name? Jackie. I feel like Jackie B and Himbo are gonna be like bros.
I felt that vibe too, right? I felt that vibe too.
They're gonna become like gym bros.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I felt they had that
Um,
kind of energy.
I really liked the scene, like after each introduction, how essentially it ended up being like a simultaneous teleport essentially.
Yeah, so all the characters, when you watch, all the characters are in their own world, and the whole premise is that they get kind of pulled from their world into the world that the story, the main story itself. I think it's isekai, right? Is what it's called?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Correct.
it's like an isekai. So all these characters, so the idea is, your character follows Hufma, this god of the forge, this minotaur god of the forge, and you, Evan, get to be the expert of Hufma, and you can, because your character follows them, there is no wrong lore, there is no wrong insights, or your character understands it, and so, which in turn means Evan understands it. So if you tell us what the deal is with Hufma, because it's from that character's world, the storyteller, I hands off on that part, right? And that's kind of the idea. So when you pick a character, you're the expert because they come from a whole different world, and that is of your imagination. And yeah, so I like, that was the purpose of that too, by the way, of the isekai and everything, is to allow people to have all their own
Right.
knowledges and preconceived notions are true and correct, and there is no like telling somebody, oh wait a minute, it works differently.
Actually, this
Yeah.
is the deity that you follow.
Yeah, well, they don't work like that. But you like, your character's supposed to have spent their entire life growing up in the church, and somehow you have some notion that's wrong about like the 10 Commandments, like the first, it's like, well, that's not
Mhm.
that's not really no, of course you're right. You are right about that. Now we're in a whole different world, so it may be different here in this world, but that's part of and it will be, because I don't know,
Mhm.
but that's part of the interesting setup, is that it is to be discovered. There is nothing, everything's in the aether, right? Until you move into the fog, will it become truth? And that's kind of the fun part of it. So did you like the scene with the young woman who came in to trade with you,
Yeah.
with Himbo?
It actually took me a second with like where you're going with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess more or less I role played myself.
You
But
think Gear played it too well, Spio says.
yeah.
Well, I know what it's like to be kind of so excited about being like, having those butterflies about somebody, and like really wanting to, like, there's something so attractive about them, that you're like, you don't, I mean, and you're stumbling on your words, and you're, and you're trying to play cool, and and like, I now it was obviously personified and over exaggerated to make it a character, to make this her whole character. She's not,
Right.
a full person is so much more than just the one thing. But yeah, of course, like, I've been there,
When I
I've been
realized
there.
what was going on, like right before I grabbed her shoulder.
Oh,
I was like, oh, I see.
and then you decided to grab her shoulder to like,
Yeah.
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 You felt like you were watching an anime. Well, I'm glad. That's awesome. I'm glad that you felt like you were watching an anime or something. And I like anime as well. Yeah, it's a story. It's like, characters should be recognizable in a sense. They should be, a sliver of who you are, kind of thing. Yeah, that was funny when you grabbed her shoulder. I didn't like, and then I had her turn around to like, like, what, that wanting moment.
Uh-huh.
Oh, this is it, the moment I've been waiting for. Heart
This is
beating
the
rapidly.
kiss.
Yeah. She's not touching you because she's still not sure. Like, am I allowed to? He touched me. Am I allowed to? But wait, am I reading these social cues incorrectly? And like, was
Turns out
very
he
funny.
was.
Yes, yes, it was very funny. I'll just get a new backpack. I'll just get another one. I'll just buy a whole new backpack. That's fine. I'll just never come back and buy a whole new backpack. You know. um. It was very funny. It was very funny.
It
I
was kind of
definitely.
sad when she came back though, and
And
he
he's
was
just
gone.
gone. Yes. Well, if in
So I did think about this because part of my shop was teleported with me. Is there
uh
just like a circle or like a if you were to put a spear in there,
oh, so
is
like
that
the
like
roof like collapsed on
is
it or
that
something.
is that sphere of space just gone?
Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Potentially.
She
Uh,
looks in and there's just like a circle of the floor is missing
yeah.
and
Um,
everything that would have been there.
yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. I mean, maybe somebody sees that character and is like, I want to play her, and it's like that's awesome, and we'll explore that. You know, I
Yeah.
have no idea. It could be.
She
If we
finds
ever
another way back.
Yeah. If we ever get to look at that shop again, if we ever get to look at your shop again, then yeah. Maybe that's something now we have what's interesting is okay, so you played Himbo so well. So we have a new player coming in on we have a new player coming in on next week's game. Right? And which we're rotating players, just sign up
So
for each
is
other.
it because I played Himbo so well, or just because Himbo is just that appealing
I don't
as
know.
an 8 whiz Minotaur or
That's
eight
so
whiz
fun.
cleric?
And okay, and that's another thing. What was it like? So I built all these characters. I rolled their stats. I started with strength, and I went straight down to charisma. Right? I rolled three d6, or I rolled 4d6. I dropped the lowest dice. Right? I re-rolled ones one time. Right? So if one popped up and I rolled it and it was a one again, then that stayed a one. Um, so your potential stat is anywhere from 6 to 18. Right? That's your potential spread. And um I'm rolling these dice and I get an 18 or something on strength immediately for Himbo. And I was like, okay. And then I rolled the random race, right? The class was already picked. Cleric, rolled the stats. I was like, oh, this is going to be a strong ass cleric. And then I rolled the race, which was Minotaur, and that puts points into strength. And I was like, holy crap, this is as strong as he can possibly be. And but wisdom was 8. And now that is the main, like every time, for those who play, know the mechanics of D&D, wisdom is the main stat for a cleric. Everything's based off of wisdom. They're very wizened, they know all of those kind of old world sayings and colloquialisms and idioms and whatnot. If you can't play with the big dogs, you stay on the porch, kind of thing. Something grandma might tell you. And so, or maybe my grandma was just tough as nails, like sitting there smoking a cigarette. Like, if you can't play with the big dog, stay on the porch, kiddo. Now get me a beer. But
Give me a beer.
I go get me a beer. But what was it like playing somebody, a cleric who's every other cleric you've built, I guarantee, has not had an 8 wisdom. You would never intentionally build a cleric if you had, with 8 wisdom. So what was it like? What was?
I thought it was great. It gives you more potential for like role play opportunities.
Mhm.
And then in terms of and for the people that are looking at like how to min max combat, because that's a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with 20 strength, I can still hit really hard.
You could still cast Shield of
And
Faith
yeah, and I can still cast Bless. That
or
doesn't. My modifier doesn't matter. My casting modifier doesn't matter with Bless, and like most
Magic Weapon.
majority of buffs. Yeah.
Still cast
So,
Magic Weapon. Oh, that's it, and that's cool. You're a buff cleric.
Yep.
But you're also a buff cleric.
Mm-hmm.
You're also a Minotaur, so you're a Buffalo cleric, huh? So sorry. Go ahead. I totally interrupted you.
No. That's funny.
I like it. I thought it was. I didn't realize it till well after I built the character too.
Yeah.
Like a week later, I was like, oh, cool.
But yeah. So I just think it provides really good roleplay opportunities for people, because I don't know. Even myself, I have like a really bad habit of, I guess, thinking about what would be good to not die. And so you still can like role play, but when the stats are there to like validate the actual role play, I think it's better. It feels better sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, and really the way you not die is through your actions. It's not through the stats, you know? It really isn't. Um, it's through your
Well,
actions.
I mean, healing someone with a -1 to the heal isn't.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe so Himbo's not and that's another cool thing, right? At this point, you're not like, yeah, I'm a cleric, and everyone's like, oh, thank God we have a healer, and you're like, well,
Right, and that's one thing a lot of people just assume, like you're saying.
mm-hmm.
Just because you're a cleric doesn't make you a healer. Just how like being a warlock doesn't make you like a nuke. There's such thing as celestial warlocks who
Mm-hmm.
are actually pretty good healers. So,
Mm-hmm. And it's
um,
it's so interesting to like go through and build them this way, and then play them too. I mean, you're like, uh, it. So I'm glad you had a. Now, was there any other characters or any other moments that in the game that you liked? As
right. So, one more specifically for Himbo, and I have a couple others.
oh, go ahead. Yeah,
The
yeah.
rope, the rope scene, the sandwich,
Yeah.
and that little like that whole scene from him like, oh, I think I'm gonna get that sandwich, to smashing the rock, like from start to finish,
Yeah.
was good. It was just,
That was
it was
fun.
good.
You like
Yeah,
that? Mhm.
I
And
think everyone enjoyed it. I don't think it was like it's like a scene for like just me. I mean, I
mhm.
felt like uh everyone yes and on it
Oh,
pretty
pretty
good.
good. Yeah. The way that Spio played Sprig was very funny, imposing this disadvantage on themselves to be like, I'm nearsighted badly. I'm an old lady and I'm badly nearsighted. This like really old witch, crooked over and I can't see anything. So every time we'd roll a perception, it was like I don't see it. If it's not like directly in front of me,
Yeah,
I choose to not see it, right? Uh,
I think probably my favorite scene was with Sprig. The scenes changing scene was,
that
I
was
think,
okay. So,
probably my favorite scene of the whole night.
so that was the one that I think I started to notice, like I noticed your reactions, right? Because I was talking about, like, I went back, I was like watching everybody's reactions. So we had this first episode that we did, it is different than the way that the rest of the episodes are going to go, rest of the sessions. So we're isekai characters in, and then getting into this world that is mysterious. And then we go from that mysterious world into where our base of operations for the rest of the game is going to be. But I wanted to set up this mystery. I wanted to kind of tell the story of where you're going to have, you come into play, you're going to pick a character that nobody else owns or nobody else has chosen to play, right? So that way the character's totally yours, right? And you don't have to worry about playing somebody you really like, leveling them up and then somebody else coming in and getting them killed or something, um but so you get to own this character in this world. And so I wanted to show that. I wanted to show like why each character is going to be so different, why they may be confused or why they may not understand anything about this world. And I noticed, so each character had a different way that they got to this world. And Sprig is a witch in the woods and a druid and chose to like do this really cool thing. You'll see my reaction too when you watch it, of druid crafting the item, that this mysterious item that has the power that is teleporting people to this other world. And I'm like, hell yeah. Like, I'd never thought of that. Like, using it as channeling their power through it to amplify the power, right? As a spell, as a focus for their power. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Specifically to communicate with it as well, to understand it and talk to it, kind of to. And I was like, oh, hey, Night Fury, what's going on? As I was describing the way that this ancient artifact was speaking back to the witch in a language that a witch of the woods would understand, I saw the way you were reacting. And which has me curious, what was going on for you in that moment? How were you feeling? Or like, what were you thinking? What was the vibe you were getting in that moment of the game? Because you were an audience member at that point, right? And not even participating, but it was impactful.
This is really cool. It's a good mood. I don't know how much more deep I think about it, but
well, I saw a couple times you're like, like your head twisted sideways as you were like, the words that I were saying were making your brain do something that maybe it hadn't done in a while, or maybe it hadn't done before, kind of thing. You're like, so did you like the way that that communication kind of, whether that back and forth happened?
yeah, that was really interesting.
And again,
sure.
Unscripted, pure off the cuff.
Also, Whiskers had me very
the possum.
very, very tuned in.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So
yeah, Whiskers was and Ethan or Spio, you do a phenomenal job with your comedy on your characters. Etma, you do as well. I mean, you guys, and what's so fun is the various brands of all of our comedy, right? So I create like these like huge vibes, right? Really personified comedy, and then you create these, like, you have these great deadpan moments, or these solid one lines of like what is, boom, it's really impactful one lines. And then Spio does this whole like sets a little trap for you, like it's so good. And you kind of know, but you're like, we got to follow it. What you want to get to the punchline. He sets it up where you're like, yep, let's get to this punchline. This is going to be so fun. It's a fun little journey that he takes you on with his characters.
I definitely didn't get to the, like, I'm not necessarily saying she's evil, but I definitely didn't get to the, like, creepy witch vibe. I mean, having just the whole nearsightedness, I thought was the whole deal with the possum. And as we got further, as we got further and further into it, it was like the more like, okay, yeah, she's straight up.
She's a witch.
Straight up like Witch Hazel, from Looney Tunes.
I really liked in the fight, sprint gets a little scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and I wanted to, I picked that up from Ethan, in whenever he's like, and I scuttle backwards, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to really personify that. And like, I think the one for me was the worms, like as she's sitting there, like, and her fingers kind of dug into the soil, and like worms are just climbing out of the ground and writhing around like they're dying actively as you look over at her, and you're like, that's not right though. Like that's a wrong thing with the earth. That's a wrong thing with the world that is being caused by this character. in a way that I don't understand. I don't know that I can understand, right? Like, why would they do that? But I don't know, but I just know it's wrong when I see it. The sweet old lady normally, but gets a little dark and acting more on her goblin tendencies during combat, Spio just said. And yeah, you know, that was...
There's a point where I thought she was actually just going to roam around the camp and not...
Me too. Me too. I think,
like,
and honest,
start talking to the goblins, like, oh, nice to meet you.
but she did literally just talk to the enemies using Charm Person.
Yeah.
To like, so she really did just talk to the enemies, like, was the whole thing. Never, no, I have no damage spells. So Sprig has no damage spells, but you can cause like emotional damage, I think.
Yeah.
Being that
Definitely.
terrifying, you know. I imagine Sprig has, like, like if the person playing Sprig was like, I climb up the wall backwards and just like hang out in the corner, I would be like, yeah, you have spider walk, you have a climb speed now. Like, that's fine. You know, when a person plays a character, you know, so like gives them that much personality, it's hard for me to be like, I'm sorry, the game mechanics don't allow you to do that. I'm like, no, we're gonna the game mechanics are gonna mold a little bit. They're gonna change, because that's not a numbers thing either, right? It's not just like, oh, okay, you do more damage, or oh, okay, you take less damage, but rather it's oh, okay, the world reacts to your presence and changes because you are the main character, and so
Yeah.
the world really changes to suit you because you are the most impactful thing in the world as the player, and as the character. Yeah. Jackie B just jumping the way Jackie B like finished the final enemy. That was great. Yeah. Did you see, was there anything, I used Geocraft to hoist me up with thorns and brambles and vines like a scarecrow. Oh god. And just stand there like a child. Oh my god. Just unmoving. Just decide to not move for a long time. Is if we go back to town, right? So in the game there's the town that every session starts in, every session ends in town. And so if Sprig isn't going on the adventure, does Sprig just like stay in a garden like a scarecrow for just unmoving for a long time, for like a week at a time? Whiskers was improv, kind of threw that on Gear Duo in the moment. Yeah, I love that. I threw a lot at you guys in the moment too. How did that feel, by the way? Evan, how you've been playing the game for a very long time. For a very, very, very long time, and consistently too. I mean, we're talking 18 years or 20 years almost, consistently, weekly, almost. 08. 08, 18, 28. So not quite 20 years. So 15 years. You've been consistently playing for 15 years. Wait, am I doing that right? 08 to 18 is 10 to 28 would be, yeah, so consistently for 15 years. Okay. So, and that's almost weekly. How have you ever had that much improv thrown at you at once? And how comfortable were you with that amount of like not knowing? And I guess specifically in context with the space that I had created, you know, because this is like for people who've never played, you know, like how comfortable they might be.
So for like me specifically, I was comfortable. I've never had that much improv thrown at me directly because I don't think I've ever had a solo scene like that before
Oh,
that I can remember. And it's honestly not like a super common thing to really.
to give
But
character. Yeah, yeah. Did you
no, I'm
did you like that? Did you like having your like solo scene to like kind of stretch your legs in
yeah,
Himbo?
yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was good, especially for like starting like setting a tone. I think it was good. But for like a newer player, I don't know how new is Gino. Gino seemed to know what was going on, so
Gino did not know what was going on because I didn't know what was going on.
well, I meant in terms of like just role playing,
I think
So
so I talked to Gino. Gino's played. I think he started. I think Gino's been playing for a while as well. Um, he's been playing for a long time. Hasn't played in a while though. And I kind of picked up some stuff from Gino. I think he, so a lot of his games were informed mechanically, or he likes to communicate with the game mechanically as well. So because he asked about a lot of mechanics stuff. How would you like to do this mechanically? Hey, well, can I use these mechanics, or is this something that I can do with the dice, with the numbers, with the abilities available? Um, so I think he is informed through that, but I'm not for sure. That'd be something we'd have to have Gino on to ask him about.
yeah, true. Um, I think these bigger role playing scenarios. Obviously, there's some like I've always had a decent amount of it, but majority of that session, what like almost was it 4 hours? Almost four.
It was 4.5 actually.
Yeah,
Um,
so 4.5 hours, and pretty much all of it was role play except 30 minutes.
no, the combat took. I rewatched. The combat took like over an hour.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, combat takes a
Didn't
while.
it didn't it
Combat took
didn't
up a big
feel
chunk. Yeah, I think we hit the
didn't
combat like at a 3 hour, 3.5 hour mark or something. It was yeah.
okay. That the
Yeah.
village or just the first one too?
I
It doesn't really
the last
matter,
one.
but
I think it was the last
okay.
one. It was hit about the 3 hour mark or so. So even the first one, is added into that. Um, combat, the Dungeons and Dragons is not designed for streamlined combat. It's just not. Combat takes,
No.
and you guys went through a round and a half of combat, and that was it. You did all of the combat, and everything that happened in combat happened in a round and a half.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of creatures too.
And
So
and even then the guys didn't do I mean they weren't being like
right.
they weren't.
I did miss some because but that's still time to move and say
Mhm.
this one's doing this.
This
I'm not saying it was a bad thing. I thought
right,
it
right, right, right.
didn't feel that long. And, I
Well,
thought it only lasted 30 minutes. So,
yeah, that
but
and that was another thing. It didn't like the 4.5 hours. Um, the 4.5 hours didn't feel like it didn't feel to me like really stretched. It didn't feel like a heavy 4.5 hours. I don't know about anybody else. Again, I get transported. Like I'm in a whole different space whenever I play this game. So, but
yeah.
what about you? I mean, did it feel like a really long time? I mean,
Um, for some reason, the first scenario felt extra long, but like none of the other ones did.
I went and rewatched it. The first one, 25 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. It's actually not that long. Um, Let's see. Zero says D&D minis tried to remedy the combat, remedy that. Speaking about the combat, but it flopped. 5e is definitely the most streamlined combat. It really is the most streamlined combat, but like the system is not set up for quick combat. I mean,
Yeah,
it just
there's no really way around going, getting each person a turn, and there's
Mhm.
no way around making it fast.
I mean,
Really.
not with the way this system is set up, right? So I've been
Yeah.
playing. I played other systems like Dungeon World, right? Which is it's a Powered by the Apocalypse, I think, is the name of the system. I could be misquoting that, but it's a D6 system, and you just have less abilities that are more powerful, that have that affect less stats, but that also encompass more openly, more open things about your character, right? So there's AC and like a dexterity for like a dex save and a constitution saving throw, and a your HP and your AC may all be just one stat kind of thing, kind of vibing on that. So there are other systems that streamline it, but yeah, I try personally not to set up combats to go more than 3 to 5 rounds. I think 3 to 5 rounds of combat is like the players are going to either have died or your game time is going to be like run out at that point.
Yeah, some of the players will zone out.
Yeah, I mean, because it gets kind of heavy and weighted, and all of the D&D abilities are on a turn for the most part are set up to be super impactful in a turn, like kind of
Mhm.
a lot of bang for your buck in a single turn if with your abilities. So that's kind of the idea there. But yeah, that was fun, and it was interesting. So I didn't like. Oh, we got a. Oh, chat is probably. So let's see. Anybody else in chat here that I missed? Let's see. Oh, Swatkin says I was impressed. We thank you for that. Aww. He never kisses me like that,
Yeah.
It's always like it's always kind of it's a little dead when you kiss me. I can always tell that it's because you feel like you have to. It's not because you want to. And but I understand. I understand. So yeah, I with the combat, it was fun to, the first creatures that I threw at you guys weren't fight to the death, right? Which I think is a big mistake that a lot of people, not mistake. Okay, so I think it's a big misconception that people key in on whenever they're first creating encounters for the game. You're looking at all these numbers and you're like trying to break them down. And so whenever I created the Frogling characters that you guys fought, hey, Swatkins, just subscribed with Prime. Thank you so much, Mama. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
I think is that 10? Woohoo! All right, double
Yeah.
digits, baby. So with that, with like creating the combat, you can lose the nature of the character and the thing you're actually fighting to the numbers, and you can lose your actual character to the numbers. So like if you were building your cleric, you would never build the cleric because of the wisdom, and Sprig would never have done impactful combat actions without combat spells, no damaging spells whatsoever, but super impactful combat actions without knowing like what you're fighting, the encounter you're getting into and the creatures that you're about to fight. which were kind of idiots, you know, kind
Yeah.
of like goofy, bumbling. Oh, Evan, you just dropped out of. Evan, you still with us?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, you just dropped out of your video.
Okay.
Mhm.
They'll come back.
All right. Oh,
It's the children stealing the bandwidth.
oh, okay. Well, I see you back in. All right. We're good now. All right, cool. So I would never have like these creatures that you were fighting. How did you feel about like whenever you were fighting them, right? Like, let me ask you that as a player in the game. Whenever you first interacted with them and as you were like as you were planning on how you wanted to fight them, what was like what was going through your head here?
Like something like the first 3 or 4.
Sure, yeah, like the first encounter, like before the combat even started, maybe like as you were introduced to these creatures.
Just hope we hit them first.
That was it.
Yeah.
Um,
I just know how level 1 fights are.
you're right. Level 1 fights can be weird. But after you encountered them, how confident were you with engaging with them? Like, what did you learn from your encounter with that very first encounter with them?
Yeah, they're buffoons and easy to hit. So,
Hmm. Yeah,
but I knew like as a player, I knew going into that village was very risky.
right. And
Um,
you also knew you didn't have to go into the
yeah,
village.
I knew that,
Yeah, but
but
you
I feel like the other. I mean, I kind of, I don't know, say I helped. I kind of had some input on how the system is supposed to work.
Mhm.
That was built.
Mhm.
Um,
Which system?
Minimal compared to you guys. Well, just Aether
Oh,
in
okay.
general.
Yeah, okay.
So like I knew the concept, but and the other 2 of the players, like they had a little bit, they don't know all necessarily the ins and outs. So going into it, I guess maybe they thought maybe they thought they had to save him, or they were just role playing really good, maybe. But
I think they
yeah,
well, immediately Gino, I think, said, "Oh my God, she's so cute. We have to save her." And
yeah,
even
true,
and life even was like considering letting one of the player characters die to save the NPC.
yeah. But
It's like, which was very funny, I thought.
but then with Himbo, it's like he's not stupid. He's
Mhm.
just not like you're like I said, he's not aware. Like he doesn't have much common sense.
Yeah.
So and he's like, well, guess I gotta must protect.
Well, I mean, I think you guys all decided to must save Alana, must protect. Night Fury just said. Um, I think
And didn't want to watch his muscle bro go down, so that's when he charged in.
Yeah, you guys you guys chose as a group to go in, which was nice. You guys come up with a plan first, which was not even to like which was fun, which was not even to attack first, rather, but to do an entirely different action first. You didn't even come up with a plan of attack. It was like a plan of um
Like we tried to do a snatch and grab,
yeah,
and
yeah, which was very interesting and fun. And then did the actions of, and then even when you were in there, I think that there's a little bit of like, you knew that they weren't going to be this elite team of fighting machines,
mm-hmm.
right? But rather, they were gonna be bumbling a bit just from your first interaction with them. You knew that they were willing to cut and run if things got too bad from your first interaction with them and stuff. And so I think that's when you're designing an encounter, letting your players know through interactions and discovery, but letting them know kind of what they're getting into before they fully dive in is should be at the forefront. Like, who is it that we're getting, that we're going to be in this conflict with, and what are they, like, how is it going to come to blows? And if it does come to blows, are they going to come all the way down to a fight to the death, to mortal blows, right? And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the way that the combat played out, did you feel like that information was revealed to you and given to you? Um, am I still here? Uh-oh.
Oh, I just muted myself.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. It definitely was.
yeah.
We do have to run an ad so we can give everybody an hour without ads, though.
Okay. I think.
So
How long's that the ad last?
3 minutes.
So
It
fun.
is.
So important. All right.
Welcome back.
Hey, we back.
Yeah.
All right. I missed you guys. I really did.
We need to talk to our producer about getting a actual break screen set up.
I tell you, so I'll talk to the CCO about designing a break screen, and then I'll see if they can put that on the projects list to send that to our producer to implement that.
All right.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get that in the works. We'll see if that works.
And
Spio Bobby, his office is empty.
we just have to run it and make sure he runs it by our content designer.
Yeah, on the CCO, which I think is like now divided, or the content. Yeah, I think that's now divided amongst 3 executives, basically, of the channel. Gear, Spio, and Etma, I think, all share that responsibility. Gladly as well. It's so much fun to make stuff, dude. I'm having a blast, honestly, making all this stuff, and God, it's so fun, dude. It's so cool to just be creative and like have it be tangible. And I think that's why I was asking about your experience too, because it's like it doesn't happen by yourself reading the book or writing the adventure out, or it happens between people. And that's what's fun about capturing it too, in that moment, because you can rewatch it. And I don't know about you, but I'm remembering things that I was thinking and not saying, or say I hear myself like describe something. I'm like, I don't remember thinking that. Like, I'm surprised about like what's happening next, even sometimes as well. It's very fun. It's like such a cool experience. Man. But so on that note, you are about to start, or I guess but this is your game. This is your creative baby, a campaign in the game world of Yuan Su. I believe you and Spio created it over about a year ago, I think. Like, is when you first kind of visualized this.
Yeah, around there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can
We
find
don't
out real quick.
If you feel that it's important, dig on in.
But we can. But yeah, it was around there.
Yeah, it's, and it started out as you guys just being like doing this thing of, I think, if I'm not mistaken, just being like, let's make something because we feel like making something. We feel like making up a world, and like just vibe it on that. Just vibe it on like let's make something up. which is at the core of what this game is, right? Just making stuff up
Yeah.
with people. And then you've been wanting to share it in a long form format for a while. You've had 2 games, I think, in short form formats within Yuansu.
So yeah, I initially was like I was introducing it. Oh yeah, it's pronounced Yinsu, by the way.
Oh, Yunsu. Sorry.
But
You
so
guys did
it
pick
was
some crazy names. They're gonna be hard for
it,
me.
it was I introduced it with like we started in Galabad, and all the members were part of the Blackfoot halflings. They're like, like a special forces military group, and they essentially, there's like the rumor, like the story, and like the king essentially put out an order to, go investigate the whirl, because apparently somebody, was shipwrecked from the whirl and made it back to land, and they're just trying to see if he's crazy or real. Well, they
And
know
the
the whirl exists, but they
and the
essentially,
whirl is like this kind of cyclonic,
it's like
strange
deity
permute,
level cataclysmic like storm in the
very
middle.
World of Warcraft-esque, right? They're very Warcraft kind of inspired thing.
But definitely more, even like more intense than that. Like
Hmm. Yeah,
at
and
least in the introduction, like they could see the storm from like days away,
yeah,
and
and
they're just sailing to this wall of elements.
I think behind the scenes there's something causing it, um, that may have the power to even create Aether, and
Yeah,
the world may permeate into multiple worlds, huh? Um,
yeah,
so you had that game there where they were discovering it, they get into it.
yes.
Super fun. Um, did we record that one, or that one was completely off stream before we even started this?
I'm pretty sure it's recorded. It was on my channel.
Okay, so that's over on your channel.
Like,
Um,
I don't
and
know
that
if
may
I exported any of it. I'd have to go look, but
Yeah, maybe we can bring that over on into, into a space that's, if people want to check that out for continuity.
hmm
And again, you had new players in that game too, right? People who had never played before and people who had played before. Um, Fun mix. Um,
everyone in that game was. I mean, I guess I don't know the definition of experienced player, but everyone in that game has played before.
mm. And then
Actually, yeah,
okay. And then you had another game later on, right? That you ran or Spio ran.
Bio was running.
And that one went sideways, which was really fun. I don't know if recorded it or not. But there's
Yeah,
a
there's a
fun.
couple of sessions on YouTube.
The fun sideways moment was, I remember him. I remember the player and Spio separately, kind of like privately counseling me about it, being like, "Huh, this is what do we? Where does this even go?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, cool." It was so impactful. It was such an impactful kind of wild moment that the players had created, that had so many possibilities in it that were really fun. Um, and now you have, okay, you've kind of finished some of your other projects and you're ready to start a new one. So I believe this one is set to be a very long form style campaign, right? Talking hundreds of
Yes,
episodes.
hoping so.
I think so. I think so. I'm one of the players, so you got me for several Saturdays for the next couple years.
Um, yeah, I definitely want it to last a while. And not
I think
like
it.
just to be long, but I think it'll be good to help because it's so new. Like we have some things made, but the
But
players will also be helping build this place. So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
what I
I
like
mean,
about it.
I'd like that too. I mean, it's kind of that thing I was talking about earlier, where the player, if a player is spent their whole life in a church, it's kind of hard to make them not the expert. And so if you make the whole lore system, like you sit down and make a whole lore system of, an entire history, and the player who wants to be of the faith, right? And you write down like the whole background and backstory and everything, and you make, and you're having fun vibing on it, but you don't allow them to participate. You just give it to them. You don't, you kind of gotta. It's they. Maybe it doesn't, it doesn't fit the idea that they had, and it kind of takes steam away from them, or maybe they don't. Maybe they're like me, and just reading things is not the best way to interact with it and understand it. Um, so like that, what was your with what you with what you haven't created with the world? What are you kind of, I guess I don't really know what kind of question I'm asking because I'm about to be playing it, and I'm curious and excited. Well, why don't you just tell us some of the stuff that you're excited about too? Sorry, I kind of got a little excited there.
Um, I mean, I'm just excited for the players to actually like explore the land in general.
Okay, you got some stuff that you're ready to
Well,
reveal to us and let us experience.
a bit, and like one of my favorite parts is about like the introduction was oddly enough, I guess, is just showing like how or like I don't know if the culture is the right word, but um the environment even like the players they got to witness like the stag himself essentially, you know, in
What
the
is
woods.
and what is
This
this?
it's the
Well,
spiritual or the earth spirit,
okay, and so
the
so like
elemental spirit.
so these elemental spirits are a significant part of this world, and they got to witness that.
I mean, primarily, essentially, that what has honed them into being elemental beings, essentially. So there are, you know, large groups of people that find the spirit just as, or like the elemental avatar, or whatever, you know, however you want to, whatever you want to call it, primal, you know, primal spirit, just as,
Oh.
and just a higher, like, you know, I'm saying people call it whatever, like whatever they want to call it, but
Mhm.
um, just high regard as a deity, essentially. Because like if it wasn't for the stag, the otter, the fox, and the crane,
Mhm.
there wouldn't be benders. So
Oh. Okay, so this world has like Avatar-esque benders in it, and that's very commonplace. I think is kind of the idea.
yeah,
You know,
that is the idea.
entire nations and continents and lifestyles are built on it. Um, which has got to be fun for you to uh to take some of the more, some of the regular parts of the world and make it extraordinary because they have the ability to manipulate the elements just naturally, commonplace,
Oh,
and then make it mundane again because of how they are just just farming or something with it, or
yeah. Like an example, the Jade Legion, the like army of the Earth Kingdom,
Mhm.
um, there was a encounter where that squad of halflings was assisting them in fighting off a wave of demons, and so they're on this like massive, like essentially it's like more or less like a great wall,
Mhm. This
and they have these
large,
cannon.
like, wall and barricade that stops
Uh,
the evil
yeah,
from
like
getting into the nations.
yeah, 6, 7 stories, just massive, Asian like fortress.
Mhm.
But yeah, they had these cannons mounted, every so meters,
Mhm.
and not only they're not like regular cannons. There's a guy behind them that like loads. He just like makes a movement and loads earth into it. Just like refills itself with the wall almost, right?
Oh,
And
so the
he just like
actual
he gives it
oh,
like a punch in the back, and that like sends it just launches the boulder.
now that's so cool because, like, the thing that they're using as a defense is also the ammunition for their offense because of their innate abilities to just move the earth with their mind. That is cool.
Mm.
That is
And,
cool. Yeah.
and they also have uh like huge earth elementals, posted up on the wall as like their part of like a part of their front line as well.
Mhm.
So, and
That
they're not necessarily controlled. Some, you know,
oh, it's their
some
spirit.
some can be, but these earth elementals are, like they're there because they also want to protect. So,
Mhm.
um, I mean, they snuck by some, and they were just completely non-hostile, at least to them, the earth
That's
elementals.
that's so freaking cool. That's so freaking cool. Um, now I don't we're so that was with the introduction campaign. We're gonna be
Hmm.
all starting out at level 1. Um,
Yes.
so I think the vibe we're getting is like from I think, we're all kind of in this idea. We're not gonna be starting in a giant war on top of a wall sent by a king. We're all kind of starting as very I would say we're extraordinary. I would say that all of our characters are adventurers. They are extraordinary. They are hero-esque. But they're also not like they don't have the power of kings or they don't have that we're not like questing into the mouth of the great gate or something. We're kind of just
Yeah.
like it's kind of a very chill beginning to our story, right? Like so what's what is how is this like where are we starting kind of and why did you choose to like start us in this kind of space?
Well, I think I started it this way. I mean, well, there's like the rumors of the demons getting past the fort, like so it's been 1,000 years of quote unquote peace between the countries, um, ever since the evil spirits started uh, coming out of the mountain, ever since the mountain became corrupt, and um, so I just kind of wanted it to seem like it was another day, I guess, peace within
so
the
so,
chaos.
so you want to establish normal first. What's regular?
It's, yeah.
I like
Um,
I like that
and then
because
it's not completely normal because there is the leader summit, which
yes,
is a
there is.
little. I don't
But that
necessarily. It's not. It's. I would say it's rare for
mhm.
literally all of them to agree. To meet up.
But that's the
So
so but that's the rare thing is not even like the rare thing isn't like we are fighting something evil all of a sudden and dangerous or we are saving the day or we are potentially like we are immediately thrust into a quest to save the world or something. But the irregular thing is something that's happening that we really that is just happening in the same place we are, with people that we don't have access to, in a space that is kind of like beyond us, right? Like there's this big
Right.
leader summit. We're not invited. They don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, and we're not, and we don't even. We didn't. I don't know that we're not gonna do something that we're like we walk in with the head of an enemy and throw it down and be like, listen to us now as we are the heroes, And they're like, who the hell are you guys? And we're like, we're the main characters. But rather, it's like we probably won't even go in that space. Well, you might do like some that mechanic. There was a mechanic I did that I like and that I've seen. I took this from Abria Iyengar, which is I'm going to tell you what the characters don't see because it's
Yeah.
impactful. And I really like that because I'm playing the game, I'm playing this character in the game, blah blah blah. But I'm also an audience member if you kind of look at it that way too. If we're looking at it as a big story, so there's certain things that are just kind of like neat and impactful or set a tone of what we don't see, but it keeps the vibe of what's happening in the background alive and important for as the game goes on. It's like there's this thing that is persistent and it's like looming in the background as our characters have no idea, and that's a cool thing of the players are all drinking ding, 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 like and celebrating, we've done some cool thing, and then outside of the window is like somebody in a dark hood like I don't know, kidnapping somebody or loading up a bunch of supplies, and the crate slips sideways and it's a bunch of materials or it's a bunch of like explosives, and then that carriage slowly trots its way towards the leader summit, but we don't know, we're just blah blah blah, no big deal, we have no idea. But as audience members, we're like, oh no, something big's about to happen, this is interesting. How will it affect our players, or how will it affect the heroes? What will they do in these moments? So I don't know if you're going to do any of that, but I always loved that. I always think that's fun.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm. So with the players, did you want to talk about the players that are at your table and how you, or rather, with the players at your table, some of us really well and have played a lot of games with us, and some of us not so much. Have you, how has that impacted like the way you're going to tell the story, or the way you're going to be, how you're going to be setting up the game and stuff like that as a DM, being on that side of the table?
Makes me self-critical.
Oh no! Oh.
So, essentially, I've already like figured out the breadcrumbs essentially.
Okay, so you've
got a couple of side plots, if you will.
Nice.
And I've known the end game for a year, year and a half.
And we're talking episode 150 end game, right? Episode 200 end game.
Last probably like the last like 40 episodes in the game,
Kind of, yeah. Well, and know that like, so you have some rails, which you always kind of will, right? You'll always have some rails in your game because you're like you have a cool story to tell and you have a cool world. Like part of the rails are we're in this world and we're not in a different one, You know,
Hmm.
we're on an island without the ability to really leave the. We're on a series of islands, which are nations large. I mean, huge, continents of, you know, like Pacific Island style. Um,
Yeah.
like, and so this place is vast and massive, but this is where we are. We're not in it, and we're not going to be able to travel to anywhere else really, as far as we know. Um, we're on rails there, and there is this like looming mountain in the middle that has been quiet for, as far as written history can go back, but it's always been told that there is this looming threat of evil that can escape, and each nation has established and designed itself to hold that back, which is a natural place to like that's the biggest and most evil thing, and so that's a natural place to go. Um, but what if we, decide to take down a kingdom instead by the time we get there? Like what if we decide to just fight an
Yeah.
army or something instead? Uh, but I think the crumbs thing is good. I'm glad your side quest things. Um, uh, so how much have you with your breadcrumbs? Uh, are you choosing to do and I guess this is a little bit of a little meta for me. I won't metagame it, but I'm curious. Are you with your breadcrumbs? Let's say that we spend 4 levels before we start picking them up. Does the thing happen and time move forward, or does the thing wait until we start going down that quest line, basically? Does the quest line just kind of chill until we approach it?
One of them for sure is gonna like just keep happening, or things may change
Uh,
because of your
okay.
decisions. Other ones, though, I guess more of the character side stories,
Hmm.
uh, they will develop as you fight, essentially.
Nice, nice, nice.
But
So there's a little bit of a time, like a clock on some of them, is what you're saying. Like there's one that's like a clock, right? So as time goes on, the impact of ignoring it will start to kind of seep into the characters' lives. And then there's other ones where we're allowed to uh, freely kind of follow those storylines along as they are, as kind of in a natural way, right?
yeah,
I like that. Um, I like that. How are you? Uh, how
I
are
could just
you?
have a legion of demons, just random. You guys are
You
level 5
could.
and just
You
kill everybody.
absolutely could.
Oh, you ignored it too long. I know,
Yeah.
but no,
But
that
I think the idea is, it's your game. I mean, it's your story to tell. If we have 200 episodes, we have there's going to be plenty of time to. So, but you've had this story for a year. So there's this interesting thing as a DM, I think, where you're like, but I have this really cool idea. So you guys should
yeah.
come on, guys, let's get to the. Come on, you go. Oh, wait till. You're never gonna believe the end. So how are you combating that inside that excitement?
uh, I think I'm really excited about developing the whole land as itself. That I'm pretty good. Like I'm pretty stable in that regard.
So taking that energy and putting it into other parts of the world and story that the
Mm,
characters are engaging with,
yeah.
that's clever. I like that. I like
And
that.
then I know you will have a player, and well, no, you'll have 2 players at your table
Hmm.
that have witnessed the mountain already.
Yeah, I mean, one of them's a
So,
legion, like a legionnaire or somebody
well,
who.
no, I mean the player themselves were in the intro campaign, and so they have a bit of an
Oh, oh, the
understanding.
players. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they were a TPK,
Oh shit.
So they have as a player, meta wise, they have a grasp of
Mhm.
how difficult, just the first boss is supposed to be, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that'll bleed over in terms of, oh wait,
Sure.
we're not ready for the end game yet. But
I think that
maybe that was
you'll
that was
do
the idea of the intro. Originally, my plan was for
to kill everybody.
as many people in the intro to be in this.
Mm. And they all
It
died.
was well, no, the characters, no, they were meant to die. I knew they were dying before they made them.
Oh wow. Did they know? Did the players know that?
No, but they're still
Oh,
in. I mean, you could say they're dead. They're technically Oni halflings now. So,
oh okay,
you
okay.
know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe something's in store for the future.
That's fun. That's fun.
Yeah,
So
but
I think that you're gonna. I think that this whole like, oh god, I quit. Oof.
right.
Yeah, we have Captain
You guys,
Monica.
you guys stepped foot on the wrong mountain.
I think Night Fury says oof to the TPK, and Spio says, "Oh God, I quit." Oni Deepfoot.
Yeah.
I think that
It's gonna be Chad and Ethan's characters just like arguing instead.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you guys
they
go
did
to
that.
yeah you.
From before, their characters from before, or their
Yeah.
characters now because they know what's happening.
Oh no, their character I'm saying like it would be funny like a meetup. Your characters run
Yeah.
into these Oni halflings, and it's just those two characters, Vinny and Deepfoot start bickering.
I think that I think you're gonna do. I think you're gonna do a good job of not TPKing us without us choosing to.
Oh yeah, no.
To do that, because I mean, like,
And when it's not meant to, that was like just for like an impactful, like, okay, this mountain is like evil and powerful. That was like just the plan from the get-go. But yeah, otherwise I've never built anything or ever like there's never a plan to TPK. Like that's not my Like I've downed people and I have no problem downing people if they're playing
or
dumb.
killing somebody. What?
Right, but I'm not gonna like I'm not built. I've never built anything to kill someone.
I would challenge the playing dumb idea, right? Because you can't play the game wrong, right? You can like make it a bad time for other people on purpose, and I think that's playing wrong. Making it a bad time on accident for the other people at the table is not playing wrong. It's just I mean, people's days are different. People play the game different, stuff like that, and that's just like a simple as a DM. You're in a leadership role of like, kind of, recognizing that and kind of, just having, the whole idea is to have fun with your friends at the table, and I think that, and even as other players in the game, you're all just hanging out and vibing. There is no social hierarchy here. The DM's not like, the leader of the group or something. You'd be like, hey, while you were, you did this thing and that was like made it uncomfortable or something. Having those pre-established things of like how everybody has fun together and making sure that we're all vibing. But I don't think you can play dumb. You can't play the game wrong or use the mechanics incorrectly, or what I'm saying. I think that what I at the end, or the combat in Aether is a good example of giving the players the information that they need to make the decision, and letting them be comfortable that they fully understand the situation, right? If if you guys were to go into a situation that was so deadly you could die, and you as a player didn't understand that, that is like, oh, I did a bad job of letting you know, right? Or maybe not a bad job, but I didn't, oh, I should have let you know. Now, you still might want your character, that might be the play you want to make, right? And everybody wants to make, it's like, let's go into this deadly situation where we know we might TPK because, well, in that last one, the thing was, oh, we want to save this person, right? So let's go ahead and try to save this person, even though it's dangerous. And you guys knew it was dangerous, but you also knew that that they were, most of the characters, most of the creatures were weak. You also knew that they were kind of cowardly, right? That happened on several occasions where they became, whenever a display of power was greater than them, they acted in cowardice rather than aggressively. So you knew that there was you had a lot more power other than just like how much damage you can deal, how much damage you can take. And I think that if I killed one of your characters in that combat, I wouldn't feel bad about it, because you guys knew that there was so many creatures that enough damage could be done, you could die, but you were willing to do that to save the character, and you were willing to do that because you knew that you didn't have to kill everything that was in there, because they will act in cowardice, and they are, they're kind of bumbling idiots and stuff. Like, so you knew you had the upper hand in other ways. And I think you're going to do a fine job of letting us know if a situation is extremely deadly. I think, I mean, I think you'll do just fine. We'll know if we're choosing, we'll know that we're making that choice. And if, I think we will. And that's a great place.
Counters wise, I think that's one of the things I've gotten decent at.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I think my first couple were like meh, but I feel like I hope I've improved on combat encounters, or at least making them feel cool or fun.
Yes, that's the most important thing, is making it feel fun.
Cause like when they were like for the introduction campaign, when they were like sailing to the world, I had them fight a sea monster, and there wasn't like an actual combat, but they got to like roll to shoot their cannons to see if they hit it, and
it was encounter.
Details,
it wasn't
there'll be things like that, but
yeah, so it wasn't you have to reduce its hit points before it reduces your hit points.
Yeah, not in that scenario, but even then, in terms of just like fighting, I actually do use an encounter builder.
Oh, okay.
So in terms of I'm going to give you, if it's supposed to be like an easy one or a deadly one.
Yes.
And then for the deadly ones, I won't necessarily have it like start deadly. That way you can be, it'll be typically, like, oh, it's a big monster. And then, like the a couple ads come in. Oh, there's two, oh, you hear the sound of more rushing, the clattering or clanging in the hallways. It's like, more is coming. So now you can have the decision, oh, maybe we should get out of here, or we're gonna try and finish it first.
I like doing this thing. And maybe this is something that you could consider or start to use. But what I found really impactful is being very straight with the player, and using their character as the lens. So we're in a situation, like you said, and we're starting to do something. It's hard, it's harrowing, right? Ping ping. Okay, we have the upper hand because nobody knew we were in there, but we made too much noise, so now they're alerted, right? When that happens, when that noise happens, I directly tell you, all right, so as you do this, let's make a roll. Let's let the dice tell the story, right? And the dice say it was the other people get alerted to the situation. And then I will say, okay, that there's not much time left before whoever, however many people were, we walk, and then do a callback. You snuck past a barracks, or like you snuck past like a cafeteria, right? So letting them kind of witness what might be waiting in the wings at first, but we got by them. It's okay. There's not a whole lot of time. It can't be more. Not that you're thinking about it. It was only this far away. Oh yeah, it's gonna be, and then use a game plan. It's only 2-3 rounds probably, before they start to swarm this room. And then you hear something maybe from another location that we didn't get to witness. It's like, oh shit. Okay, so now we have an unknown threat, but we know it's similar to the one that's coming. And like, I like to be very pointed and direct. There's not a whole lot of time before you get overwhelmed. Now, if we decide to stay, we know we're going to be overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that we're not going to be able to fight our way out. So maybe we choose a different way maybe we'll diplomacy our way out. We'll lay down our weapons and surrender. This nation accepts surrender, or something. We'll parlay, so we can choose it multiple ways instead of just trying to run and escape. We can choose multiple ways to deal with being overwhelmed, but being very pointed and be like, you will be overwhelmed in just a few rounds, instead of kind of being a little secretive with it. When something becomes deadly, like being very, very direct with it. Spio asks, why did you choose the Water Nation to start in, of all places?
A couple reasons.
Okay.
It's just one of the continents that hasn't been visited yet.
Okay.
2.
Water's cool.
Yes.
I am mostly water, so I really I already feel at home there.
One of the characters it made the most sense.
Okay.
And I really like the Lunar Festival stuff. And like anime and stuff like that.
So,
and I thought it'd be fun to start off with a Lunar Festival.
So I love that too. I love the idea that you're starting off with a celebration, with a nation or a civilization celebrating. I don't think we see that enough. I think we see a lot of like dark caves and like prisons and warships fighting giant sea monsters, and I see a lot of that, but I don't see. I can't help if you don't leave the cave, Spio says.
Yeah.
Well, Spio, quit making your character so interesting and fun to be around. And then we'll leave the cave. We'll just leave the cave full of trolls instead of just sitting there watching them be kind of silly and talk to each other. I love that about the festival. All of our characters are from this place, I believe, would know about the festival. At least, even if we're from another nation, it's infamous, the Lunar Festival, right? If you talk about the Water Nation, it's one of the largest things that happens there, so people would know about this festival, right? This Lunar Festival. So
yes.
tell us about what the Lunar Festival is like. what's the deal here, man? What can we expect? What's going to be happening? You know, some of the common
So,
practices.
you'll definitely expect like lots of praying, sending off like the typical like sending off lanterns to
Oh,
guide your loved ones. Lots of fireworks.
okay, okay. Let's start with
Um,
that first one. So, is this a Water Nation thing specifically? These lanterns?
no, I don't think so.
Okay, so a common practice across all of Yinsu is to release lanterns for the deceased to guide their spirits. Where? Where are the spirits being
Um,
guided to?
Wherever people believe the afterlife is, like
So into an afterlife.
yes,
Oh, that's super cool. Nice. So there's going to be lots of lanterns. So I imagine lantern vendors will be one thing.
yeah,
Uh, um, in a specific time that the lantern thing happens, like at sunset, at sunrise.
definitely like sunset.
So a sunset thing that you'll just see thousands of lanterns rising into the
It's
sky.
like all the lanterns will go off, and then the fireworks will go.
Oh, so
Kind of.
everybody releases their lanterns at the same time, and then there's a fireworks display after like the city in unison releases their lanterns. That is
Right, and
so
then
freaking
it's like
cool.
the rest of it's like a week long of fireworks and just like festivities. But day one, that's how like night one starts.
Night one starts by, oh, and so you don't end the ceremony with
No,
helping
it's
guide
so
your
it's supposed to
ancestors.
be a week long. Yeah.
You begin the ceremony with guiding them and then celebrate life for the rest of the. That's such a cool setup. That's so cool. That's so cool. Um, oh. And so there's gonna be lots of fireworks in the streets, like firecrackers popping in the streets and stuff. Little kids, like having too much fun.
Yeah.
Man, uh, I wonder, I wonder if we're gonna encounter like some punks or something. That's always fun, like like some like teenager, early 20 punks. Uh, you know, um, that's always fun vibe because that's in my mind that's not a like like these like young aggressive kind of like teen early 20s trying to start a fight is not a um deadly encounter, right? Because they're just trying to throw some fists and be like, yeah, we're cool, man, you better back down, instead of like they're not trying to like stab you to death in the street, right? They're not like a mafia or
Right.
a mob gang, it's like just some punks being punks, you know um creating a distraction, trying to steal something, like just punks being punks. I love that there will be a festival. You can learn so much about the world through participating in celebrations. Night Furies.
Yes.
Oh God, her comment bored the hell out of me, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I'm just playing Night Fury. I'm just playing Night Fury. I
It's
love you.
like we have 5 minutes left or something.
Yeah. Rude, she says. All right. So I'm excited about the festival more than anything, more than your bread, the breadcrumbs and all that. I think that that's such a great. We have a week of just like establishing like the normal world. Spio says that we can mute me if we need to. So that's what we're looking forward to tomorrow.
Yes.
So what time are we starting?
I believe it's 8 Central.
8 Central. We'll be running to about what time? About 11
3
midnight.
hours.
About 3 hours. Okay. And sometimes that, you know how it is. Sometimes goes over a little to recap or to wrap up. Sometimes it goes under a little bit because that's just a natural ending point. Because because that's how this game's gonna be, right? It's more like a vibe and a flow.
When possible, yes.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm so excited to see. Oh God, I can't wait. I can't wait to play Evan in your world. Um, and to celebrate. That's what a great way to start the game. We're gonna celebrate. That's so fun.
I'm glad you like it.
I'm glad I'm glad I'm not like in a uh being sucked from like isekai into another whole other world immediately. I think
Yeah.
it's a great way to start.
My first game, I started off, in like a birdcage prison in like a ogre cave.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember how
I had to wait the whole session to be found too.
one of my oh no. I remember one of my first games. I was a we built our characters, second edition D&D too, so it was so hard to build a character. We built our characters. We went into a cave. After we built the characters, it was like the first thing we did. We went straight into a cave. We turned a corner. There was a black dragon. We all were like, roll initiative. We all rolled initiative, and then the dragon got to go first. He breathed chlorine breath all over us. All of our characters died immediately.
Oh, it's a fun way to start.
And yep, that was it. That was the way. And he was like, now the real game begins. I was like, I don't even want to freaking play. Actually, I mean, I didn't realize I had that feeling because it was like my first game. It's like, oh, that felt bad, but I still want to play. Like let's keep going. But like, so I'm glad that's not how it's gonna start. All right. Let's see. 5 minutes, 15-minute mark, 2-hour mark, 1 minute.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Wait for tomorrow. Is there anything you'd like to lead us out?
Sure. Thank everyone for watching and listening today. Yeah. And it'll be on, listen on Spotify as well to our other episodes.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thank Artless.io for providing wonderful music. And thank you, Spio, for producing. And all of our supporters and subscribers and followers to help us keep our dream alive. And
the thing we love.
Help us to continue learning, creating, and playing together.
Oh, you muted. Oh, there, are you good?
Huh?
Oh, and Mom, don't forget to thank your mom, bro.
And thanks. Well, I did. I thanked my subscribers.
But your mom specifically.
She's
look dead in the camera and tell your mom you love her right now.
Thank you, Mom. I love you.
Thank you, Mom. We love you. And everybody else, I love you so much. And we will see you tomorrow for Yuan-Su.
Yin-Su.
Yin-Su. Yin-Su. Don't say it wrong. They get mad.